So I'm shooting some more videos on the Cuda today. I'm cutting all the sheet metal out for this area where the back seat goes. I think this is called seat riser stamping or something like that. And I've cut all of it out over here, and I cut part of it out over there so you can kind of see what's going on in this corner. It's a good opportunity to kind of show things that you don't normally get to see unless you've got one of these cut out pieces, and that is, this is what there is to this area where the leaf springs come in. This, for leaf spring cars, has all the torque loads, both acceleration and braking, and of course about 45% maybe of the weight of the car. So 600-700 pounds, maybe 350-400 pounds in this area right there when it's sitting still. So Chrysler put two good size. I mean, this is some of the thickest steel that's in a e-body right here, and this you can kind of see what's going on. And they tied to this frame rail that goes to the back of the car. You'll notice that the frame rail kind of runs out and stops, and just has a lip that goes under the floor. And I say this so you could kind of see what actually is going on. There are actually only 6 spot welds. There's 2 down here, and then 4 on the riser that tie the front of this frame rail to the floor right there where your feet go. And then there's nothing. Now, some of the subframe connector kits that are out will come around and weld on the side here, and then come under the floor and go up into this brace for the transmission and the torsion bars. And that is way better than nothing. Some of them actually kind of just lay up here and butt weld. Some of them start right here and follow the floor, so they're massive and thick and strong right here, and they're about like that here. So there's, and of course this is a high torque point for bend. In other words, if you're going to get any deflection in this, because of the way it's welded in here, it will just cantilever. In other words, as that goes up, this actually goes down, because this is the pivot point right here. The torque boxes, which I have set in that car, and they do help quite a bit, come in and they basically connect the floor area right here to the bottom of this, and to the bottom of that, and to the bottom of that, and basically form a secondary area here where the bottom of this is connected to the bottom of that, and that is that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm probably going to put torque boxes in this car because you might as well. But the one thing to realize is you still got this situation where the floor turns and goes across here, and this ends. And you realize that the inner wheel well housing, this floor stamping, and this brace here all kind of come together. This is one very strong little area right here that ties, actually probably ties that frame rail more to the car than some of the rest of it does. So that's what. The other thing I would show you that's quite interesting is this brace. If you have one of these cars and you close the door and you can see the quarter deflecting as the door, the 7 million pound door hits that pin right there. The guy that's got to stop that is this little fellow right here. Now there's a brace up in here that he's up against. So this part's not too bad. That right there is just somebody took a stick welder and stick welded it in the assembly line, and it's stick welded to this stamping right here, where you can kind of realize that this is what's under it. But it isn't actually attached. And when I put mine back in, I'm going to drill holes and rosette weld it to this piece right here, so that there's a lot more strength in that. The other things I'd mentioned that I'm going to do that no one's going to see which will have big structural changes on cars. Since I have the car in this state, I'm going to run a brace from this corner to that corner up in here under the sheet metal. It'll be the same stamping thickness that this is. It'll have a turned end on it, and it'll be probably plug weld there, and then basically plug welded right there, and that will add a lot of strength to this. The other thing I'm doing is I'm going to put subframe connectors that run from probably about here in this out across through the actual center brace, which is actually up here technically, if you want to know the truth, and into the front frame rails, probably about 4 or 5 inches, just like this. So that what actually happens is this entire thing becomes an actual beam. A lot of the subframe connectors run up to the back. I don't know, you can probably see part of the stamping here, and this is a pretty good stamping, but again, it's a U-shaped structure. And a lot of the subframe connectors just run into the back of this and butt weld. And that does a lot in terms of tying all of that up to right here. And then all of that is tied to right here, but there's a spot about that wide where the floor sheet metal, makes up 35% of the circle. And how well it's spot welded to that at that specific point where the subframe connector comes in will determine how much deflection is right here. So I'm not going to do that. And nobody probably cares that much about the structuralness of these cars, but they are so much more enjoyable when you can't feel them moving around under you when you're doing stuff. So anyways, there you go.